Okay. Hi, my name's Caroline Ali Khan. I'm in the College of Education. And I want to present to you today some of my theorizing on the uses of avatars for education, and to invite you to think with me for just 5 seconds about the affordances of avatars and some of the problems of teaching and learning through virtual platforms such as Second Life. Okay. So what is Second Life? In case you don't know it, Second Life is a virtual world hosted by Linden Lab, and they claim that there are millions of players worldwide who inhabit avatars, and they walk, chat, fly, build, etc., and sometimes formally teach and learn. Educational virtual worlds are used at all levels of K through 12 and higher education settings, including Stanford University, the Mayo Clinic, the New Media Consortium, and I think most surprisingly, the United Kingdom's National Health Service. So what I did is I looked at some of the research on the educational uses of Second Life, and I created a taxonomy of uses in which I personified some creatures in these in order to make it easier to see and think about how to use Second Life in educational settings. So I'm going to start with the positive creatures. So there are 3. There are avatar hallucinations, which is up there in the corner. And in what I call hallucinations, student avatars interact with objects that reference and mimic known material things, but as these objects are virtual and limitless, manipulating them has no consequences. So for example, they can collaborate across through different universities in different places to learn about the physical properties in engineering, to perform experiments in chemistry, to build things. So these are situations where avatars use objects that mimic real ones, but because they're hallucinations, they can go beyond what's possible, practical, and safe to do in real world, and they're not bound by the rules of real world time. So my second set of creatures are what I call avatar sprites, who are up here. And these are student avatars that cross over from the virtual into the real world. So they're helpers, they're sprites. And they allow students to transcend physical real-world limitations, but to impact real-world events. So for example, students can work across geographic boundaries and solve real-world management problems. They host galleries. They can collaboratively debug computer programs. These are projects that exist within real-time constraints, but the effects of them reverberate both in virtual spaces and in real-world spaces. My third set are avatar thespians in the corner there. And these are actors so this is where students use role-playing to try out their selves and their future selves. So for example, pre-service teacher avatars go into virtual classrooms with students with classroom management problems, and they collaboratively solve those. Nursing patients, it's been used a lot in nursing, where nursing students make professional decisions with imaginary patients and patients' families in virtual hospitals. So in these kinds of projects, students use the real world as a springboard for their sort of make-believe future personas and professional situations. So there are my good creatures. And now I'm moving to the monsters. So, Bikini Speedo Beastie on the top. So one of the things I found out was that there's the distraction monster. That educators who use Second Life with students report that there's high interest, but keeping them on track and not letting them go wandering off into adult virtual worlds is a problem. There's Inequity Beastie on the bottom there. And this personifies the increase in the digital divide that is the possible outcome of using these kinds of technologies. So there is certainly the possibility that using these technologies further alienates those who are already not benefiting from schooling. There's Zombie Beast over here. And that happens on 2 levels. These are the beasts that roam K through 12 settings. And this is 2 levels. On the one hand, you've got schools, particularly K through 12 settings, where you've got recess is cut, food is deregulated, sports are being stripped, abstinence-only programs are being supported, testing is prioritized, so on and so forth. And we've got this question of the wisdom of encouraging students to be seduced by virtual worlds while their real bodies are being completely abandoned and neglected and rotting away. And the other side of the zombie is the control. So the personification of control. So we've got a lot of surveillance going on in K through 12 settings. And of course, avatars are the perfect solution for control. On the one hand, what they can do can be limited on several levels. And on the other hand, they're sort of handcuffed to computers and electronic mice. And then we have the fool. So ideally, the navigator moves, the avatar moves with the navigator. It doesn't always work that way. I know this. When I went to an academic conference as an avatar in Second Life, I'd practiced beforehand. I couldn't get the speech controls to work. I couldn't stop bouncing. My arms were flailing around. I kept thinking, oh my God, I'm going to hit or sit on a colleague. And these were people I knew in the real life, so this was very worrying to me. And so the research supports that the lack of control is a real problem for students using this, and of course for people teaching it. And then there's Botox Beastie. This is the problem with the illusion of being there when it works. And part of that is that there is a lot of anxiety when you cannot express emotion visually and through your face. So real life bodies express emotion with fluidity, and we respond to that, but avatar bodies don't. And so the lack of ability to read that is certainly a problem. If we accept that emotions and the performance of emotions are valuable tools in teaching and learning, then the removal of expressions is a problem. So that's it. In short, I see Second Life as a land filled with adventure, hallucinations, sprites, thespians, zombies, beasts, and fools. And given this, I think I prefer what Steve Fuller calls our biological wetware, but you might not. Thank you.